Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. This is our daily get-together live here on Facebook every day of the week, Monday through Sunday, 10:30 in the morning, where we examine headlines, comments, ideas, questions, thoughts, suggestions, all the information that helps us have a wonderful, inspiring, creative, awesome life here in Puerto Vallarta as a community of English-speaking locals. It is always a pleasure to be here with you and with Luna, my perky assistant, who, as you can see, is taking notes with boundless enthusiasm. If this is the first time that you join us, feel free to let us know that you're new by writing the word new in your comments, and that way we will give you a proper welcome. It is Saturday. It is Saturday all day long. It is Saturday. And it's the weekend. So what are we going to do this weekend? What are we going to do next week? Today we are going to talk about interesting ways to find things to do. Today we're going to talk about how our city was received another accolade from an international publication. Today we are going to talk about a new film about Beethoven. And last but not least, today I'm going to tell you a personal story of how a new hero, a musical hero that I just discovered literally yesterday, and I completely continue to discover today, is now going to be one of my brand new amazing heroes that I'm going to talk about over and over and over again. And I'll tell you about that in a second. I know I'm being cryptic, but I don't want to ruin the suspense as to what I discovered yesterday. I'm traveling through an unexpected rabbit hole of musical knowledge that I just absolutely have to share with you. So before we do that, let me very quickly take a look at what is going on with the community. Who's in the house? Sherry Cooper's in the house. Happy day after Christmas. I totally agree. Let's see, what else do we have? We have Mike from Chicago. Chicago's in the house. How wonderful to see you. And, I left a bunch of programs open that can make my computer explode during the broadcast. Let me get rid of some of these things, because the last thing we want today is a faulty broadcast. Doug Baldrige is here from Cincinnati. It's great to see you. I have Total Play being installed, says Marcus. I think Total Play, what is Total Play? It is either one of those boxes that allow you to see a lot of things, or one of those boxes that allows your television to think that you're in another country. I kind of remember what it is, but how wonderful, how wonderful. Tis the season to be streaming, that's what I say. Greetings from a chilly Guadalajara, where everyone appears to be following protocols and governor's closures. That is so comforting. Thank you, Gary, and thank you for that important news clip that you sent me this morning. I will share this with everyone because I want to make sure that everybody understands the concept of Día de los Inocentes, Day of the Holy Innocents, that we're going to enjoy here on Monday. Huh? James says, Buenos dias, chavos y chavas. I am inclined to explain that because it is a very common expression. And let me put it up on the screen. It has a little bit of a typo, I must say, but the expression chavos y chavas is kind of like saying, chavos would be like saying dudes, and chavas would be like saying dudettes. So to see that makes me smile. Absolutely, we are a bunch of chavos y chavas here. Luna needs another coffee. Am I mumbling or something? Oh, Luna, you need another coffee. Says Michal. What do you think? Do you want some more coffee? Huh? Oh, you just want to be pet. Fine. Okay, a little bit of petting while I'm trying to read your comments. Let's see what else we have. Bay City Rollers. Yes, gotta love them with those crazy clothes that they used to wear. Let's see what else we have. Oh, you guys are up to all kinds of wonderful things. That is great. Today was an interesting morning for me because I was thinking, well, everybody goes back to business as usual. And no, the news are slim. But I do have a couple of important things that I wish to share with you today. So we might as well get on with this. Puerto Vallarta has been selected as the best destination to travel, according to Vallarta Opina. And this apparently came from an international magazine called Global Traveler, which selected Puerto Vallarta as the best destination to travel nowadays. And I figured, well, that is kind of vague, as many of these articles that come from Vallarta Opina, not very specific. So I did a little bit of homework and I went and found out about this publication. Global Traveler indeed announced the winners of the 2020 Leisure Lifestyle Awards. And then I realized this was very, very, very wordy. And I simply did a search for Vallarta. And there it is. And I find out that indeed we became the best leisure destination in Mexico. And we can see that best leisure destination for groups, remember this is a business publication, was Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. But it is nice to see that Puerto Vallarta has received a new accolade. Let us hope that our promoters will put it to good use. I also have an updated and translated letter or document that was sent by Candidac, the Restaurant Chamber Association. Michael Beaufort shared this on Facebook the other day. This one has been translated into English, and it shows us the new measures for restaurants in Puerto Vallarta for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And again, it emphasizes that clubs, bars, and canteens are permanently suspended from December 25 to January 10th. New Year's Eve parties are prohibited in hotels, restaurants, bars, clubs, event rooms, and terraces. And restaurants can operate their regular schedules. And if you're going to have any kind of festivity for New Year's Eve, the Restaurant Association just suggests that you call it a special event, not necessarily a party, because that would ruffle the feathers of some of our inspectors, I suppose. I also don't have a headline for it, but I want you to know that there are more shipments of the Pfizer vaccine that have been arriving in Mexico, and this is good because they're arriving in small amounts that the government is starting to deploy in different areas of the country. So hopefully they will be able to continue with their schedule as usual. Let me see if you have any quick comments before I continue. No new comments, so let me just continue right along. So Gary Green is apparently, I'm not the only one who is thinking of coming up with fake news items for the upcoming Dia de los Inocentes, which is going to be on Monday. Again, for those of you that were not with us yesterday I started explaining that the Holy Innocents' Day, which comes from the Bible, it is a day that is comparable to the United States April Fool's Day, in which people play pranks on one another. Well, in Mexico, Some of those pranks are extended to publications, and Gary Green forwarded this one to me that says new airport is going to open on Olas Altas. So that's what newspapers do. They come up with headlines that are so preposterous and ridiculous that they just put them and they scatter them around the legitimate news items on the papers. So it becomes kind of like a fun thing to try to go through the paper and figure out, okay, is this happening for real? And then you start reading into the details and you go, of course it's not. It's made up, and this was a prank from Day of the Innocents. So what does that mean here at Coffee and Headlines? Well, on Monday, we are going to have a few headlines that may or may not be true. And needless to say, we don't want to confuse anybody. We want to make sure that everybody understands that this is all in the spirit of just sharing some fun stuff and that not confusing through what our friends north of the border have lovingly denominated as fake news. We're not going to do any of that. We're just going to have a little bit of fun. But before we go there, let us take a quick look at the weather forecast so that we can continue on. Busted with coffee, warm coffee for this winter day. It is 23 degrees now, 23 degrees Celsius, feels like 25. It is 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is higher today than yesterday, 69%. And of course, the weather forecast tells us that it will be clear through the day with a high temperature of 27, low temperature 16. Tomorrow, Sunday, it'll be clear through the day with a high temperature of 26, low temperature 16. Chilly evenings, that's for sure, and chilly mornings. And Monday, we will have a clear day throughout the day with high temperature of 25 and a low temperature of 16. And that is our weather for the next few days, for the weekend. I hope you have something wonderful planned for yourselves. I am going to go walking today because we need to continue with Wednesday walking day. Now I want to show you my Facebook page, not because I want to show you my Facebook page, but I want to show you Facebook. I wonder how many times when you're trying to find out about events, I wonder how frequently you go into the See More area here where I can click on events. Let me show you. I can click on events. Where did it go? Here we go. Events. And when I click on events, Facebook kindly shows me all the stuff that is going on in my area or in our area. So a lot of times one can find interesting things to do here, and interesting things that should not be happening, but that's a different case. There is a way to browse events by the type of event that it is, and there are ways to find more events that are happening on specific days. So if I look at what's going on in Puerto Vallarta this weekend, I can see that there's live music that happens today, Tequila Rush. There's live music that happens tonight, Duo Flamenco at Nacho Daddy's. At No Way Jose. Brandon and James are doing the Lady Gaga songbook at the Palm. There's a traditional temazcal if you want to go and take a nice sweaty steam bath. There's another event, and so forth and so on. So I just want to make sure that you know about this feature on Facebook, because it helps you find all kinds of interesting things to do. I definitely take a look at this from time to time, and I will probably look at it more frequently as we go forward, because I want to make sure that that we are connected with some of the events that are going on in the city. Let me take a quick look at some of your comments so that we can continue with this wonderful gift of music that I totally want to share with you today, if you will indulge me. Any news if there is going to be restriction in Nayarit, says Sharon Drevitt. I don't see any news regarding changes or restrictions in Nayarit beyond where they already are. So I don't have anything specific to share. Lorraine is curious to see how busy Nayarit is going to get. I have two theories on that, Lorraine, and this is just me speculating. I think those of us that are locals, that are English speaking locals, we're not going out that much. I'm surveyed with my friends, and it's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Most people that I know are just staying home. It is the tourists that have expectations, and it's probably going to be the tourists that are going to be looking where to party whenever it's time to party. So it's difficult to see. Difficult to predict what's going to happen. But the bottom line is what's going to happen is a personal choice. It's always been a personal choice. What's going to happen is that you're going to be, and we're going to be as close or as far away from compromising situations as we choose to be. And the rest is stuff that we're going to look at from afar, I suppose. Joe sent me an idea for Monday's news. I love it. Thank you very much. I'll take a look at that when the broadcast is over. Joyce asks, what weather site do I use? We use Carrot Weather. And Lorraine asks 23 Celsius, and I say yes, because we are in Mexico and we live by Celsius here. Kimberly asked me, is this my personal page or what is the name of the Facebook site for activities? That was just good old Facebook. Facebook has a place where you look for a tab called events. And again, on the desktop, let me go back to my desktop and let me go back to the beginning of what I did. This is the way Facebook looks like on my desktop computer. This is what is called the new Facebook, which is something that was released just a couple of months ago or something like that. I believe that everybody has it. So on Facebook, you have your regular stuff, then you have shortcuts that you can customize. But here there is that see more business. So if I click on that, then you get all kinds of options like events and friends lists and fundraisers and so forth and so on. So I just clicked on events and I just kept going through the choices. The events that show up on the left are events that you've been invited to, but then you can browse events by categories that you enjoy, and then you can fine tune as to whether you want them to happen today or the following week and so forth and so on. And then you can even fine tune geographically. For example, I am looking at events near Puerto Vallarta, but I could also be looking only at events that are happening in Puerto Vallarta if I don't have transportation. So, nakedness. So this is how I'm surfing through the Facebook events infrastructure, which is a lot of fun, I think. Let's see any other questions before we continue. Jimmy is reporting that all the bars are open. Is that, well, your store is right around the corner from the bars. If you are walking down the street from your store, Jimmy, and you're seeing the bars open, that is unfortunate because they're supposed to be closed. And as far as I'm concerned, I would not know that because I'm choosing to stay away from that whole scene as much as possible during these days. And I certainly hope that most people are. What can I say? Let's see. Let me continue. Okay, I think I'm ready for my epiphany story. Okay, so bear with me because this is going to be really poorly explained because it just came to me just a little while ago. Excuse me. So yesterday I told you that through the month I kept listening to Classic FM because that's where. Oh no, that's right. Never mind. I have another news item that I want to share with you first. I didn't do this in order. Let me start again. Whoop. First, I want to tell you about this new film that apparently is coming out. It's a German film about the life of Ludwig van Beethoven. And this is something that we can enjoy the trailer for, and I'm going to give you the link for this. And I looked at the trailer. The movie is in German, but it looks very, very well known. And of course, we're looking at something that came from Classic FM. And I've been talking about Classic FM quite a bit because this has been like my wonderful new discovery. And part of what I like about it is that I'm listening to music in the background, and if I want to identify something that it's playing, because the music is playing from my other computer, I can look up here and see exactly what I heard and what it is, in case I want to pursue it any further. And this is exactly what happened to me yesterday. After the show, I was doing my housekeeping and my house cleaning, and all of a sudden I heard another Christmas song that totally, totally blew me away. And this holiday song was incredibly, in fact, it was the most perky, most lively, most obnoxiously cheerful, happy holiday song I have ever heard. But it was so beautifully well constructed, I could not stop listening to it, and now I have the melody stuck in my head. Now, how could something that is so sweet and obnoxiously sticky be so wonderful? Again, because the way it was constructed. And what I mean by that is we must talk briefly, if you'll indulge me, about orchestra arrangers and the people that make the music sound the way it does. There are some very talented composers that do their own orchestration, which means that they decide what instruments are going to play what at any given time. But then there are other composers that rely on skilled arrangers to do this. So I found myself gravitating to this song, and it was a song by Angela Morley called Snow Ride, and I was surprised to find that it was performed by the John Wilson Orchestra. We have spoken about the John Wilson Orchestra in the past, and we have mentioned how he is this amazing orchestra conductor and researcher that has unearthed all these wonderful film scores from the golden age of musicals and has re-recorded them with a modern orchestra and have made them sound just absolutely wonderful and pristine and brand new. So I figured, okay, this is interesting because Angela Morley, well, she is a lady, and lo and behold, I found photos of her, and she is a lady. Let me show you Angela Morley, and here she is. And then I looked at her age, and I figured, well, if this lady is such an amazing orchestrator and creating these lush string arrangements, as you're going to hear, something does not add up, because she was clearly composing and arranging music at a time in which women had very limited access as conductors and arrangers to work-related opportunities. And I figured, okay, there's got to be more to this story than I'm seeing. But before I tell you what I discovered, let me tell you a little bit more about Angela Morley, because you'll be fascinated to know details about her life. She was an English composer and conductor who was a household name to BBC radio listeners in the 50s. She was born in 1924 and she passed away in 2009. She won 3 Emmy Awards for her work in music arrangement. She received 8 Emmy nominations for compositions for music television for series such as Dynasty and Dallas. She did a lot of fascinating music and what I'm going to call mood music, as described in this documentary that I found about her. And this documentary is a profile about her done by none other than John Wilson. And this was published back in 2008. And I still could not put A and B together because I figured, again, this lady is of a certain age and she, by the book, should not be working in this kind of music. And this is where I discovered the second part of the story. And the second part of the story is that Angela Morley is really Wally Scott. She is a transgender composer. And I figured, okay, I really have to research this. And lo and behold, she was born as Walter Scott, and then she transitioned in 1972 and lived as a transgender woman from that moment on. But the fascinating thing is that, you did not, there were no transgender people at that time. So she must have had a really difficult time. And I wish I could tell you more specifically details about her work. I have just discovered this, and I can't believe this amazingly talented woman is transgender. I have some interesting information here. She began transitioning to live openly as a woman in 1970 at the age of 46. Went through hormone therapy, reassignment. I went through sex reassignment surgery in Casablanca in June 1970 and publicly came out as a woman in 72. And she was very successful. She was the first transgender woman to be nominated for the Academy Award. So the more, and literally, I discovered all these nuggets of amazing information literally like 10 minutes before this broadcast. So I was thinking, okay, do I want to totally go through not smearing, but like delivering a very awkward and spontaneous account on this discovery? Or do I put together a nice, lofty presentation? And I chose the former. Why? Because I'm going to continue to dive into the life and the accomplishments of a wonderful person that I never knew anything about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with some really awesome YouTube clips if you're intrigued. And I hope you're intrigued at least enough to hear the perky, cheerful Christmas music, because you're going to listen to it. And again, I wish I could play these things, but YouTube won't like it. It is just so beautifully built. The arrangement, the music, it's like every instrument is assigned to the proper melody at the proper time. And then the second video, which is John Wilson interviewing her and talking about what makes her so wonderful, will hopefully help you better appreciate her craftsmanship. And of course, I'm going to leave you with a squeaky clean, super happy song. And then I'm going to leave you also with an arrangement of hers of the popular tune A Foggy Day, just so that you can be as amazed as I am. And of course, I am going to get in touch with my dear friend Angie Starr, who is transgender, living here in Puerto Vallarta, and I'm going to make sure that she knows about this wonderful hero we should all learn a little bit more about. Let me take a quick look at your last minute comments just to see what's on your minds. La 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 la. Some love for Brandon and James. I know that Kathleen loves them very much. I have not had a chance to enjoy them live, but I see some of their recordings on YouTube from time to time. I'm glad that you're enjoying the information about YouTube, about Facebook events. It's one of those things in which Facebook now has become so voluminous as an entity that, it's kind of like walking into a ginormous shopping center just looking for a spoon, you know what I mean? But if we take a look at Facebook and find our way through it, there are wonderful things that one can find, certainly as far as finding things that makes us feel safe enjoying this time of year. Celeste is in Sayulita. I hope you had a safe drive. I don't know where you drove from, but it's wonderful that you are safe and sound in Sayulita. Contagion is a fabulous film, Steve. I've watched it 2 or 3 times, and yes, it feels like it was made for now. And I'm also going through the new edition of The Stand, the new miniseries, and it also feels like it's perfect for today. Let's see what else we have. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Exactly. Walter Carlos became Wendy Carlos later in the 70s. This is true. Walter Carlos was a pioneer composer who came to fame by creating completely electronic music versions of some of Johann Sebastian Bach's most popular pieces. and his album Switched on Bach is continues to be a milestone in synthetic music. And at some point, he became Wendy Carlos, and continues to teach electronic music and continues to compose. And it's also wonderful to hear about her. And I'm going to put something together at some point. I am so glad to be called infectious because that's the entire notion. And I love connecting people to things, but I would be a hypocrite if I did not convey the satisfaction that I get from sharing music related things. And when people chime in and you find them important, it just makes my day. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Let's see. And yes, James is absolutely correct. She was very lucky that she had the resources at that time. There are a number of films out there. There's a film that the name, The Danish Girl. The Danish Girl talks with Eddie Redmayne on the lead. It's a wonderful film about one of the earliest cases of transgender of sex reassignment, and it's something that I totally recommend some people watch because it gives us a better appreciation of our transgender friends. Let's see. Yes, it's one of my favorite books as well, Michal, and I'm reading it as I'm going through the mini-series, which I'm downloading illegally. You did not hear that. James is not a big fan of Facebook. Neither am I, to be too honest. I mean, yes, you're absolutely right. It's one of those very, very ginormous places, and we don't know what's going to happen with Facebook in the long run. And let's see what else we have. I think I am done with everything that I wanted to show you for today. And yes, I think this is what we have for today. So we're hoping that the news sources will continue to come back to producing lots more news items that we can enjoy and share over here. As always, I welcome all the suggestions that you have about content and ideas that you want to see shared and disseminated here at Coffee and Headlines. And I am incredibly, incredibly grateful for all the wonderful coffees and gifts that you've sent to me and Luna this holiday season. You make me feel like we are in the same family, and I do feel like we are in the same family. Right, Luna? Show your boundless enthusiasm for one last time. There you are. Hey, can I wake you up so you can say goodbye? You want to say goodbye? Over here. Yes. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Okay, fine. She's busy taking notes, and I'm going to get on with my day. I hope you have a wonderful day. Today's a great day to be out and about carefully. Maybe go out for a walk in a place where you don't feel threatened by a lot of people. Whatever you choose to do, just enjoy yourself. Have a super day. And remember, tomorrow is Sunday Fun Day. Okay, let me put this on because this is helpful information for everybody, of course. Careful with the use of terms. Transgender is a person who lives in their chosen gender. Transvestite is a person who enjoys dressing gender they were not born with. And transsexual has had the surgery to change gender. Thank you very much for that, Paul. And going back to my goodbyes, remember tomorrow, Sunday Fun Day, no news. Tomorrow is also the day in which I celebrate my Christmas and my New Year's, my arrival to Puerto Vallarta. Hopefully, we'll spend some time together then. If not, sometime soon. Have a great day.